What's going on, Average Tech Guy here, and today we are back. More tech, more reviews. And right here in front of me, I got a few different modes of shooting video. So typically when I'm on the go with family on vacation, things like that, I got this in my pocket. This is going to be my phone, and this year my phone of choice for vacation is going to be the Galaxy Z Fold 5. And then I just upgraded my action camera for those underwater shots and those jet ski shots and moments. This is my DJI Action 4. And then for those family group photos and taking pictures of just landscape and things like that, I got my Sony a6600, one of my favorite trusty cameras. Typically I'm recording myself on that, but since I'm shooting a video about this, today we're not gonna be doing that. But I want to tell you about a device that is probably one of the most versatile that I've seen to date for all three of these. Here you go. This is the Hohem MT2, a 3-axis gimbal that works with all three of these devices. So let's talk. All right, so this is it. This is the Hohem MT2. Now, this device weighs in at about 653 grams, or if you're in the United States, 1.4 pounds. And the payload on here is about 1,200 grams, which once again, if you're in the United States, is about 2.6 pounds. So it's gonna hold just about any device that you can put on it. They give you a list of things that you can and can't put on here. There's also a QR code in their owner's manual that is going to tell you what devices work. So just keep that in mind. It has a 2600 milliamp hour battery. It'll give you 17 hours of battery life. Now keep that in mind, 17 hours of battery life if you got it fully balanced and fully stabilized and everything is just perfect. But if you're going to be using this field light, it's going to cut that battery time all the way down to like 6 to 8 hours. So just keep that in mind. It takes about 3 hours to charge. It gives you a pan of 360 degrees. It has an infinite rotation, which we'll show you. It also has a roll and a tilt of 320 degrees on this device. It operates in temperatures from 10 Celsius all the way to 45 Celsius, which if you're in the United States in Fahrenheit, that's 50 degrees all the way up to 113 degrees. And these motors have stop protection on them, so you can't exert them. So just keep that in mind. Now, right now I do have it locked. There are locks here, and locks here that will actually unlock the gimbal and let it do its thing. The field light. This is probably one of my favorite pieces of equipment. So this thing acts as a light, and it also acts as an AI tracker. We'll talk about that a little later on. Just snaps into place right up on the top. Now, let's talk about some of the accessories that come in the box with this, because that's probably one of the best features. As you can see, I already have the tripod stand out. Love a tripod stand. It's nice and sturdy. You also get a bunch of adapters. So you get replacement screws in here, you get adapters, you get action mounts, you get USB chargers, you get chargers that will go to the cameras, you get chargers that will go from USB-C to USB-C, and this thing actually has its own power adapter here that you plug in, charge it up, but it also has a power out for your cameras and things of that nature right up here on the top. So you can actually reverse charge your cameras and your phones while they're sitting up there on it. Moving all this to the side, you also get this. Now, this is probably one of the best parts, because now I can just pack all this stuff up in this small bag and pop it in my suitcase, and I'm good to go. When you open it up, you got more storage up here, mesh bag, and I do have my essential wires up here. All my audio and my USB Type-C wires that they give you. Like I said, they give you a bunch of wires, everything that you would need for any camera, all the way down to micro USB. So micro USB connection, USB Type-C connection, everything. You do get over here pockets, mesh pockets. These have no zippers. Microfiber lining back here. This is where you're going to carry the gimbal and your brackets and your handle. So let's talk about these brackets, because you do get a nice cell phone mount. This is just gonna go right on there. You don't have to worry about too much with that. And then you get an L mount, which can be mounted both ways. You can mount it this way for your vertical shots, and you can mount it this way for your landscape mode on your cameras. So they basically thought of everything when they put this together. So now that we've talked about everything this comes with and we talked about the specs, let's get into the device itself. So this device is very easy to use, very lightweight, and I like the features on it. All right, so let's do a quick tour of this device. Now, you do have adapters right here on the side. You have your power button. Hold it for 3 seconds, it turns it on. If you press it twice while it's actually on, it puts you in a standby mode, and pressing it once will wake it up from that standby mode. Then you got your mode button right here up front. Now, if you press this mode button one time, it's going to actually switch between the gimbal modes. 3 times gives you like an inception mode or like an infinity spin shot mode. 5 times does an auto calibration. 7 times enters a remote control pairing mode. And if you long press it, it's going to take you into the sub menu where you can modify that OLED panel that's right there. Your joystick actually moves up and down, left and right. Your trigger on the back, multifunction. It puts it in the sport mode by pressing it once. It will actually recenter the gimbal by pressing it twice. And if you push it 3 times, it's going to give you a reverse 180 panning motion. So basically it turns the camera around and it focuses on you at that point. Your zoom lever right over here. And then on the side, this is where your multi-function wheel is. You press it twice, it goes into your roll and your focus function. Press it 3 times, it goes into your RGB switch. So just keep that in mind. You got a lot of different functionality on this device. Now let's get it open. Let's get something in it and let's talk about what we see. Okay, so once you get this thing up and balanced the way you want it, which balancing is a little tricky act. And I never balance it all the way right. And there are a lot better people out there that can tell you how to balance it, a lot of better channels, but I just balance it to where my camera is steady. I know it's supposed to kind of point down a little bit when you balance it, but this is how I use it typically. And it seems to work out pretty well. So hold down your power button for about 3 seconds. You'll see Hohem, you'll see the flash of the field light, and then it will come on. You always want to make sure that the field light, and let me do 3 times and it'll turn around. You always want to make sure that the field light and whatever lens you're shooting through face in the same direction. Also, one of the best parts about this is the application. So I can actually go into my joystick and I can turn this and control this no matter where I want it to go. Also, if I connect all those cables that I showed you earlier, I can actually snap pictures directly from this device using that. So coming back out, it also supports your motion control and your time lapse. So your motion control for your sensitivity and all those things like that are going to be in here. And then any time lapse, like let's say you want to get a nice sunset or a sunrise, you set your time lapse, you move your joystick to whatever points and you set your time limit, 10, 15, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, all the way up to looks like 3 hours. So you can get all the way up to 3 hours and you can adjust in different slots and tell it to start and it will actually pan, tilt, and rotate and do all those things directly from this application. So the app is really nice to download and really nice to use. And once again, if I want to reset, I press this twice, brings it back. But if I want it to go all the way back around, 1, 2, 3, and it should flip itself all the way back around. And I love the speed of it, just in case you want to catch something really fast. And you can control that speed in your settings and everything else. But once again, it's mounted onto that bracket, that L bracket that we saw earlier. And if you decide you ever want to pick it up, fold those down and you are good to go. Holding trigger puts it in sport mode. So basically it's going to lock in on whatever object or whatever area you're focusing on. Any other time, it's going to kind of wobble a little bit more if you let that trigger go. Not that heavy, really easy to use. And I've enjoyed using this device. I really plan on taking this on vacation, so that's where I'm gonna get most usage out of it at. But from what I can see, it is very versatile. It uses your cell phones as well as your cameras, as well as your action cameras. And when you're putting a cell phone on it, same thing. It's really easy to connect. It's really easy to set up. And once you get the phone on there as well, just remember, if you're using the phone that your app is on, you're not gonna be able to control it. You gotta hold it in your hand. But for the most part, everything still lines up, looks really good. It's a really fluid device, and I have enjoyed using it. And my other favorite feature is it has to be the AI tracking. So if you can see the little red light on this right here, this is your AI tracker. If you give it certain symbols, it will actually follow you around. So if I give it the OK symbol, light turns green, and the camera will now follow me, hands out here. Camera is not following me. I'm not using the app, anything. That camera, that AI sensor will follow me. And let's say it's not to the height that I want it. If I give it a certain symbol like this, if I give it this symbol, and I'm gonna do it off screen, you should see the light start flashing and it stops following me. Now, I can adjust it to the height that I want it at. And then if I give it that symbol again, it will stop flashing and it will start following me again at that readjusted height. So I love that feature just because if you want to focus in on certain subjects, it will. And if you don't, it won't. And then if you give it the high five symbol, it will turn red and it will actually stop following you. That turns it off. Now there is a toggle button on this field light, and on that toggle button on the top, that is where your on off switch is, and this is magnetic. So it just locks in place. But keep in mind, if you use that field light, it's gonna cut your battery. So all in all, the Hohem M2 is gonna be a great device for your cell phones, your cameras, even your action cameras. Is gonna work really well. Like, I've had no complaints out of this. The tilt, the roll, the actual setup of it. And if you want me to do a setup of like cameras and cell phones and see how it kind of works with the adjustments, because that's like one of the biggest things I have, and really I just get it to where it really just balances out. But the adjustments kind of get tricky from time to time. If you want a full video of how those adjustments work, just let me know. I'll be sure and try to make one of those. I'm not a professional, but I can show you what really works for me and what like angles I use. But for the most part, it is a very sturdy gimbal at a very decent price, and it doesn't weigh a lot and break my arm. Like, I got a Ronin and it's kind of heavy to carry around, but this one fits into almost any bag and can go almost anywhere. So I think it's a great one to pick up, and hopefully this has been able to help someone out. Until next time, Average Tech Guy out. Peace.